Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Dependent Fanatic channel. Today we are going to be discussing the rivals down south, Ohio State. What can they do this season? What will their roster look like? What are their coaches like? Here we go. We're diving in to Ohio State. Ryan Day is their head coach. He is 56-8 as head coach of Ohio State over 5+ years. Remember, he had 3 years at the end of the season uh, when Urban Meyer was let go. But he is only one of four, so he's 1-3 versus Michigan. Ryan Day loves a high-flying offense that utilizes wide receiver a lot, which is why you don't have any proven tight ends back. Cade Stover left, no one behind him. Mike Gee, we'll talk about him. But he just hired Chip Kelly, Ryan Day did, as offensive coordinator, so you have to wonder if that philosophy has changed here if you're an Ohio State or any college football fan. Chip Kelly was 46-7 as head coach of Oregon, and he was 35-34 as head coach of UCLA. In between, he was 28-35 in the NFL. Toughness is not what he is known for either. Ryan Day isn't either. So how does he fit into this offensive staff and alter the offense toward a more dominant running attack, or at least a more balanced offense? I don't know. We'll talk about it, but especially after running back coach Tony Alford jumped the fence to Michigan because the pastures are greener as far as running back depth and philosophy here at the University of Michigan, their rival. So here we go. Let's talk about their roster. We're going to talk about experienced players. I know you have a lot of talent. I'm going to leave out some names. Some of you put them down in the comments below if I didn't name them. Here we go. Quarterback, Will Howard or Devin Brown. Will Howard is a graduate transfer from Kansas State. 61% last year for 2,643 yards. 7.3 average yard per completion. 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Devin Brown is a junior, the more mobile of the guys, backed up in a few games. 16-28 last year, 57%. 217 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So you have to decide between these two guys. Will Howard does have some wheels, too. I believe he had like 300 or 400 rushing yards at Kansas State as well, and 9 rushing touchdowns. So I think he's probably your guy. And that's probably why Ohio State is ranked very, very high, because they have a proven quarterback that is stepping in for them. Here we go. Running back. Travion Henderson is back. Is it going to be him, or is it going to be Quinshon Judkins, the transfer from Mississippi? Travion's a senior now, 156 carries for 926 rushing yards last season, 5.9 average. That's damn good. And he had 11 touchdowns. 229 receiving yards as well. Quinshon, on the other hand, a junior, had 271 rushes at Ole Miss for 1,158 yards. That's only a 4.3 average, but they don't have as much around them as Ohio State does, so maybe that number will get better. But he did have 15 rushing touchdowns. He was a battering ram. They used him, beat him up, and he got 15 TDs for them and 149 receiving yards last season. Dalen Hayden, where has this guy been? I remember a couple years back he tore up Maryland, and then you guys never used him versus Michigan in the game. He's a junior now. He only had 19 carries for 110 rushes last season, 5.8 average though, and he had a touchdown. And that's where I'm saying the depth drops off here in the running back room. At least proven depth has dropped off for Ohio State here. Tight end, like I said, Guy Scott Jr. is a graduate of Ohio State. Stayed for his 5th year. You guys have a lot of those too. I see the comparisons to Michigan last year, but Michigan had more depth. Let's dive into it. He had 10 receptions for 70 yards. That's a 7-point average and 1 touchdown. Wide receiver is what I keep hearing. I keep hearing Ohio State fans that say they have 5 NFL wide receivers on this. Is Carnell Tate one of them? Carnell Tate and Jaden Ballard have to be your 1 and 2, right? Because Emeka is your slot guy. You don't want to ruin that. So Carnell Tate, a sophomore, 18 catches for 264 yards. That's a 14.7 average, and he had a touchdown. Jaden Ballard was a senior. He did not play in 2023, but in 2022, he had 8 catches for 155 yards, 19.4 average, and 1 touchdown. And then Emeka Egbuka in the slot, senior, 41 catches for 515 yards. That's a 12.6 average and 4 touchdowns. But in 2022, he had 1,151 yards and 10 touchdowns. A lot of people's roles were cut back last season because of one Marvin Harrison Jr. and also Julian Fleming, who transferred out. So the top 3 guys are going to have to carry a bulk of the catches here for the season, right? Because Brandon Ennis, a sophomore, had 1 catch for 58 yards last season and a touchdown, which is great. And then wide receiver Reese Stocksdale, a senior, had 1 catch for 12 yards. That's it. That's the depth you have. That's the stats coming back. There is no production after them. As far as talent, they may be talented and they could step up, but regardless, you seem to have a good offensive line, which is all this is going to be operating around coming back for Ohio State next season. Left tackle is going to be Josh Simmons, a senior. Left guard, Donovan Jackson, a senior. Center, Carson Hinsman, a junior. Right guard, Enoch Vimahi is a graduate. Right tackle, Josh Fryer, is a senior. So senior Leighton up front. Depth here as well. Seth McLaughlin, a graduate from Alabama. He might get a starting role in one of them spots. Your depth at left tackle, Zen Mikulski is a senior. Left guard, Tegra Shobla is a junior. Julian Jackson is a junior. So the offense, they have to figure out what they want to do here in 2024. Are they going to copy Michigan, or are they going to have that high-flying offense with 5 NFL wide receivers? There's conflicting arguments there. Let's talk about the defense here. It's really great. The starters in the front 7 are really good, but again, lacking depth. Jack Sawyer is going to be your defensive end. Senior, 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 pass breakups at defensive end. And then on the other side, JT Tuimolau, senior, 38 tackles, 5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups. And then in the middle at nose tackle, Ty Hamilton, a senior, 38 tackles, 2 sacks. And then at D tackle, another senior, Tyleek Williams, 54 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 pass breakups. So seniors across the board on the starting defensive line. Interior backups include Hero Canoe, a junior who only had 10 tackles and 1 sack. Tywone Malone, a senior, 5 tackles. Caden Curry, junior, 9 tackles, 1.5 sacks at edge. And then backup for an edge as well is Kenyatta Jackson Jr. Is a junior this season, and he had 7 tackles, 1.5 sacks as a sophomore. So the quality of depth really isn't there, and that's what Michigan had last year. We had 9-10 guys with sacks. I mean, the rotation was there. Can Jim Knowles utilize more? He's going to have to give some of these starters a break here and there. We'll see how that all transpires, but it's a good starting lineup there in the front 4. Now let's talk about linebackers. Middle linebacker Cody Simon is a graduate now. 57 tackles and 2 pass breakups. So you're solid there at starter. Will linebacker is CJ Hicks. Is that who it's going to be? Who had 8 tackles last year? He's a junior. Backups are Gabe Powers, a junior, 7 tackles. Court Williams, the second, a junior, 4 tackles. Mitchell Melton, a senior, 3 tackles, 1 sack. So the starters are great, but there just is not a whole lot of depth in the front seven for Ohio State. At least not experienced depth, like I said. But the secondary looks like that's going to make up for all that, possibly. Um, might not be anywhere to throw here. DBs include cornerback number 1, Davison Bigison, a junior, 59 tackles and 5 pass breakups last season. And then CB2, who was it going to be? You got pick of your seniors, Denzel Burke or Jordan Hancock. I'm going with Hancock because he had 41 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and 1 went for a touchdown last season. Cornerback 2, Denzel Burke had a better season the year before, but last season 24 tackles and 1 interception is all. At nickel, and Caleb Downs fits in here somewhere from Alabama, sophomore who had 107 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 3 pass breakups for them last season. But at nickel, Sonny Styles is a junior, 53 tackles and 2 sacks. And then at free safety, you got Jihad Carter, a senior. He had 35 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 PBUs in 2022. He did not play in 23. I don't know if he was hurt. You guys have to let me know down in the comments if he was just hurt and he's back now. And then at strong safety, Lathan Ransom, a senior as well, 34 tackles and 1 interception. Further backups include, in the secondary, Jermaine Matthews Jr., a sophomore, 13 tackles and 1 interception, and Malik Hartford, a sophomore, who had 10 tackles and 2 pass breakups in 2023. So on paper, all the starters are great for Ohio State. It's the depth, it's the toughness, and that's what it has been over the last 3 seasons. So for the Big Ten, this schedule is pretty weak for Ohio State as far as Big Ten schedules go. They're all hard, but this one, 10-2 is the floor for Ohio State, in my opinion. Oregon and Michigan are the toss-ups. Predictions will be coming sooner than you think for every Power 4 team coming up this season. It'll be before the season. I'm working on them always as we speak, doing deep dives into teams, and then I will start picking the games for every team on every schedule. And it will make sense, say I had Ohio State beat Oregon. Well, then in my Oregon prediction, they will be losing to Ohio State. So it all ties together. It will fit, I promise you. Oregon is my next deep dive video like this one. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Like the video. Share with other people out there. Tell them that Ohio State might actually deserve a top 5 ranking. I don't think they should be ahead of Michigan, but, top 5. They're a great team. So there you have it. Like the video, share, subscribe, and have a great day out there. Happy St. Patrick's Day weekend, everybody.